Now we come to section 6.6, which is about trapezoids. And as you see, we've left up this part of our Venn diagram and we've added to it and extended it. So this part has remained the same, and we're simply adding another group that is not a parallelogram. It's not inside the box, the parallelogram box, so it does not obey the parallelogram rules, but it does have to obey these rules. They are four-sided polygons, and sum of the interior angles equals 360. And within that, trapezoids have one pair of parallel sides. Only one, okay? Not two. They only have one pair of parallel sides. Put that right there. And the angles of each leg are supplementary. For instance, the angles of the legs, okay? This leg, this angle, and this angle, I add them together, they're going to equal 180. This angle, I add them together, they're going to equal 180. Why? Because the leg is a transversal cutting two parallel lines. And these two angles represent same-side interior angles. What do you know about same-side interior angles of parallel lines cut by transversal? Same-side interior angles, parallel lines cut by transversal are supplementary. Therefore, shouldn't even really have to say it, you should know it, okay? Now, there are some there's one particular type of trapezoid that falls within the trapezoid family. It's called an isosceles trapezoid. Basically, take an isosceles triangle, cut it in the middle, parallel to the bottom or the base, what we call the base, erase the top, and you have what's called an isosceles trapezoid. Here it is. One pair of parallel lines, the legs, okay, let's go back up here. The sides here that are not parallel are called legs. So I have a leg. The sides that are parallel are called bases. These are called base angles. So we have four base angles. This is one pair of base angles that belong to this base. This is another pair of base angles that belong to this base. These two base angles belong to this leg. These two base angles belong to this leg. Okay? Come down here. Isosceles trapezoid. What are the extra characteristics or rules underneath the trapezoid? Well, we each have one pair of parallel sides. The angles of each leg are supplementary, and the legs are congruent. The legs are the same length. Each pair of base angles is congruent. So this angle and this angle that belong to this base are congruent. This angle and this angle belonging to this base are congruent. And the diagonals are also congruent. Okay, down here, the legs are congruent. AB is congruent to DC. Those are legs. AC is congruent to DB. Those are the diagonals. Okay? The diagonals do not bisect each other. Can't make that claim. Okay? They're obviously don't even look equal. Alright? But these are the types of trapezoids we have. Regular trapezoid. Two parallel sides, legs that are not congruent. Base angles. Isosceles trapezoid, legs that are congruent, and diagonals that are congruent. And in the isosceles trapezoid, this pair of base angles is congruent, and this pair of base angles is congruent. There's one other item of a trapezoid that we need to go over. And that is the median of a trapezoid. Excuse me. Notice I left our rules up because we're going to need to use them. But the median of a trapezoid, here's a trapezoid. Notice our legs over here, we've cut them in half. E is the midpoint of leg AB. F is the midpoint of leg CD. Okay? The median of a trapezoid is a segment that connects the midpoints of the legs. Alright? connects the midpoints of the legs. Well, if it connects the midpoints, that means we've bisected those midpoints, creating two congruent segments here and two congruent segments here. Now, obviously, if we do that to an isosceles trapezoid, then all four of those would be congruent. But on this one, it's not an isosceles trapezoid, okay? So these two are not congruent to these. And the equation to find the median is take the first base and take the second base and divide them by 2. Average the bases. Now I've written this as this is base 1 and this is base 2. Does it matter? No. Can base 1 be the top one? Yes. Can base 2 be the bottom one? Yes. It does not matter which one is base 1 and which one is base 2. Basically, to get the median, you simply take the average of the two bases. The bases being the parallel sides. Okay? Median of trapezoid. Now let's do some sample problems.